say, okay, you're paying a lot of interest in the beginning, and then towards the sort of past the midterm of your loan, you start paying amortizing your principal. This is why. Okay, that's how the calculation is done. There are also hybrids. I'm not going to spend too much time on this. There are equity loans, which is equity that you can reach an agreement with your equity supplier to pay out every month. Okay, there are such things. There are also, and I guess the biggest interest here would be in government-backed schemes. Okay, and there's crowdfunding. There's actually some of the people exhibiting here are government-backed schemes such as Yan campaigning. So if you're starting up a company, I suggest you go to Yan campaigns or go for a spin around the show, because there are some companies that do give out loans, government-backed loans for seed investment for small companies and startups. Okay, so how do you deal with funding and where's the money? Equity providers. So if you're looking for cash, if you're looking for equities, this is where you should go first. It's called the 4 F's: founders, family, friends, and fools. Okay? This is usually the origin of every company. I'm sure some of you, I don't know, okay, some of you are thinking of creating a company, but I've started a company, and my initial seed equity came from family. Okay? So, and I think most startups start raising funds in a circle with family, with close friends, with business partners as well. So I suggest strongly, if you're starting to, if you think about creating a business, you should start within your sort of social network. It could be friends, family, it could be your colleagues or ex-colleagues, your ex-bosses. Okay, that's usually where the funding begins. Crowdfunding is still called alternative finance. However, I suspect that within the next couple of years, it will stop being alternative and going mainstream, because this is a really good idea. Okay, this is where you can fund your business with a lot of small investors. So each small investor will put, let's say, £100. Okay, so they're not really exposed to your risk, because they're only exposed to £100, which is fine. So you're not, and if you have a pool of investors, each with small amounts, that's fine. Okay, because we know that startups come and go, they fail, they may fail. Most of the time they fail, unfortunately. So, but at the same time, it gives you the money to start. Okay, and business angels. Business angels are private and or corporate investors. To give you an example, if you start let's say a tech business, a software business, maybe if you go to a company which an established tech company, they can help you because they understand the business. They've got an office. They'll find you a desk somewhere. They'll put you in contact with their own developers. So whatever you're trying to do in 3 years, if you've got a business angel helping, you can do it in 1 year. Okay. Debt providers. Well, obviously banks. Peer-to-peer lending, again, alternative finance, very big source of funding these days, and this will grow in the future. It's here to stay. So again, if you think about creating your own company, think about peer-to-peer lending, right? It is a very fast-growing finance class. Okay? And again, government-backed guarantees and government-backed schemes. Startups. Let's talk a bit about startups. I'm sure that's interesting to most of you. What's the most striking thing about startups? It's the statistics, the failure statistics. Basically, startups do fail. You know, it's just a rule of thumb that every startup, 8 out of 10 startups disappear after 3 years in all international statistics. Any way we look, whether these types of numbers. They're quite consistent. They're quite consistent throughout decades. So if you take, I started working in tech bubble in 1999. So if you take, for instance, the 90s and the first decade of 2000 and the second decade of 2000. All these numbers throughout different regions, the US, the UK, where this information is more, there's more studies about this, it's always the same numbers, about 8 in 10, 7, maybe 7 in 10 disappear, okay? Why is this? Obviously you can argue that if you have a startup, you don't know if the market will respond. Sure, that's a cause. Also, the ability to generate cash flow, which is when you can have clients, but not cash flow. Okay, so you can have a lot of clients. A couple of the tech startups like Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram have a lot of clients, but they don't monetize them. There's no money coming in. Okay, and you can hold that so much for so long. There's a time when the cash needs to come in. One of my favorites is this management ability. Remember that most startups are started by companies with very high, they're phenomenal at what they do. Very good technical skills at what they do, whatever the startup is. However, they lack the management ability. Okay, this is very common, for instance, in tech startups. The techies they're very good at programming and developing tech solutions, etc. But they're usually very people that managing companies. And this is a company. Okay, it's not when you start up a company. That's a company. It's going to have to pay shareholders. It's going to have to pay debts. It's going to have funding needed. You're going to have to deal with that. And this is the main source of collapse for small companies. The ability to fund further rounds of financing. This means when you go in year 2, in year 3, and year 4, and you need money, and for some reason you can't access money, you go out of business. It's likely that you fail. The startup is like a car, it runs out of petrol, so you can have a very good car, but it runs out of petrol and it stops. There's nothing you can do. So this is actually the main source of business collapse in startups. It's the inability to fund again. Okay, you raise some funds, you raise some seed funds, you can start at 100,000, 200, 300. It reaches a point when you need to go further and you don't have access to capital. Okay, so it can be either working capital or plainly you can just not grow, which is bad as well. When you don't grow, you don't have the shareholders enough, and the money just walks away. So, why and how should a startup be funded with equity? Because, given the risk for a startup, if it fails, you don't need to pay the equity back. Okay. Equity holders, they recognize that give you the equity, they can lose it. Okay, they're not going to ask you for the equity back. They're not going to ask you for the money back. Okay, no matter how much money it is, they can't ask you for the money. That's particularly if it's a limited company, they won't ask you for the money back. If it's debt, they'll ask you for the money back. The bank will be on your case. Okay, so if you fund the startup with debt, and we look at how appealing that could be in some cases. If you do that, we advise that if it fails, if there's any problem, you have to pay the debt back. Okay. So, imagine any type of business. I don't know what type of business you're thinking of creating, but any type of business, just think about equity only. Do not take on debt unless it's strictly necessary. So tips, always test your product or service. Okay, this is, most people do not go into full throttle. The million, 2 million pound investment without a proper test. It's called a beta, okay, in most of the tech sector. But, you can have a product which is not taken, it's a beta. even if it's you call up your friends, you call up your friends for a dinner. Here's a product, here's a service. What do you think? Always do extensive testing before you go for an investment. This is a good one. Try to cover the bits where you're weaker, okay? Because you've got a 90% failure probability. Okay, focus on that. Don't focus on the 5% probability that you're going to be a Facebook and you're going to be worth billions and trillions. Forget that. Obviously work hard on your business idea, but don't forget that there's a lot of things that we can do. This is a company, there's a lot of things that will happen and you won't be prepared to deal with. Okay? You can afford management, good management. If you're a 200, 300 million turnover company, if you're a million pound turnover company or even less, you can't afford management. So you're going to have someone in your management who's, say, a good techie or a good engineer, but if you don't look at the finances, if you don't look at the product side, if you don't look at all the small little things that can come and bite you, you're gonna be in trouble. So what I suggest, as a rule of thumb, this is not scientific, but as a rule of thumb, try to allocate 25% of your time to your businesses. Okay? And have a balanced and prudent approach to your funding. Don't try and get too much debt. Likewise, don't try and get too much equity. Just go slowly first. Okay. When always be prudent. Don't try and overdo, because if one of the main causes of failure is when people try to be too ambitious. Okay. It's much better to be prudent than being ambitious in a startup. Okay. Be a good listener. That's probably a good one. I've dealt with dozens of startups and early stage, and what you don't want to do is you walk in a company and they think they have all the answers, okay? Because no one has. It's complex environment. Startups go from stage to stage very quickly sometimes. So you may be a good seed manager and not be a good startup manager. Startup manager and not be a good expansion manager. So there's a lot of things that will be new, okay? And when startups, early stage companies, when they think they have all the answers, that's usually as a consultant, okay? I can tell you that if you go to a company and you identify people that think they know all the answers, you walk away, okay? But you know they're going to fail sooner or later, okay? I can tell you that as my own experience, and they do fail. I cannot remember, there hasn't been a single instance of people that I thought would fail because of being too gung-ho, and come back to them maybe 2 years later, the company's disappeared or they've closed it down or whatever. So be a good listener. Okay? This is a very important point. And focus on the exit. The numbers for the equity calculation. So you're going to make money when you exit. You're going to make money when you sell. That's it. You're not going to. If on the equity bit, you're not going to make any money whilst managing the startup. You can make some. Obviously, you need money to live, and you can make obviously your salaries. Okay, obviously, but you're not going to make serious money. You make serious money when you sell. At the end, that's your exit. When you go to an investor, always think of an exit. Always think, who am I going to sell this to? Most investors, particularly if they're institutional investors,